Alright, it's time for our first real story mission, and we're gonna go tackle the Apocalypse gang. With a name like that, they can't be up to anything good.
Are you spying on the Apocalypse? That's bad for your health. Haven't you heard we're the most dangerous gang in the city?
I wasn't spying, I swear! I was just walking by, please!
Shut up! You're giving me a headache.
Don't hit that button soon, that guy's gonna be fish food.
We're gonna use these rooftops to get to the button in front of the gangsters instead of going through the gangsters. And then all we have to do is stop the gangsters from hitting the button by pounding the crap out of them. As I said in the first video, we want to have Spider Instinct turned on as much as possible. This is not just so we can dodge their melee attacks, but so we can dodge their gunfire. These guys do have guns, and the guns fire very quickly, as guns will do. They fire quickly enough to hit you in the air as well, so the air isn't even a safe zone, which it normally can be for fights like this. Now, the Apocalypse enemies are some of the most basic enemies in the game. There's really no combo that won't work on them, which makes them ideal for getting used to the combat. But if you don't use Spider Instinct as much as possible, you will still find yourself getting murdered here.
The crane control's fighting! Push the button! I don't wanna die! The crane control's fighting! Push the button!
Looks like I gotta hit that button again.
Thanks, Spidey. I thought I was a dead man. I just happened to see these punks when I was working in the subways, and they almost killed me for it.
Punks in the subways? What's this neighborhood coming to? Better go clean it up.
As absolutely fantastic as I think the combat in this game is, I'm not a fan of the writing, like, at all. Usually Spidey games have pretty decent writing, but Treyarch are not the best writing team for Spidey. Then again, I don't know if Treyarch actually wrote the script, but whoever wrote the dialogue for this game in particular, they didn't do a very good job. Spidey never really seems humorous, and some of the stuff he says is downright out of character. Now, of course, we're gonna go deal with those gangsters in the subway, just like we promised we would.
Spider-Man, you have to hurry! I heard one of those thugs saying they were going to take over the subway system.
There's a commuter's nightmare. Don't worry, I'm on it.
Did you see those guys running down the tunnel?
Yeah, crazy. I never seen nothing like that.
Now, I understand a bunch of goons running down a subway tunnel is unusual, but would you call it crazy? We don't actually need to fight these three enemies, by the way. I'm just doing it for fun, and to show you our super attack in a much better light. Like I said, it stuns any enemy we bounce on, and this time we were able to actually bounce off all three. So all three of them got stunned. They should have let me make the tutorial.
I must be getting close. There's music. Hey neighbors, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Free some hostages?
Spidey, save us!
Our first order of business are the two snipers up here on the railing. They will shoot down at us while we try to deal with the bigger group of goons if we don't take them out early. Now, as I said, pretty much any combo will work on these guys, but using certain combos can still be beneficial. This is a large group of enemies, for example, and if we press the X button at the end of a combo, we will jump off the enemy's head so we can get away from them and reorient ourselves. This is especially useful in large groups like this. As you can see, it doesn't take very long for our super meter to fill back up, so we can use it a whole bunch, and that's going to be incredibly helpful. Now, if you're wondering what the hell just happened and why all the enemies flew in the air like that, I have an answer for you. If you finish a combo right after you counter an enemy attack, the combo deals way more damage and has a greater area of effect. So the ordinary hammer combo instead turned into that. Did I mention this game's combat system is fantastic? Because it is.
I thought I was a goner there.
It was close.
Spider-Man! They hijacked the express! It's headed that way!
You get to safety. I got a train to catch.
Like, seriously, we don't actually have the area attack super ability yet, but if you use the hammer combo right after you dodge an enemy attack, it basically does the same thing. It's little nuances like that, little touches that make me love this combat system so much. Like, you can play the whole game without even knowing that using a counter combo is so much more effective, but when you do figure that out, it makes the game so much more enjoyable and offers so many more strategic possibilities. You actually have to think about how you use your combos and when they'd be most effective. So here's a new enemy type, this guy with a stop sign. Guy with a stop sign cannot be disarmed, and if you try and use a normal combo on him, it won't have any effect, he will block it. We can stun him using our super ability though, so that's one way to deal with him. But the primary method to deal with Guy with a stop sign is to juggle him. He blocks our attacks, but he can't stop us from uppercutting him into the air, and while he's in the air, he can't block, so that's how I'm gonna take him down. They briefly mention in the tutorial that you need different kinds of combos to fight different enemies, but they don't stress how important it is. Like, you actually can't hurt this guy with normal attacks until you juggle him or knock him down. Cool, we got our second super attack, and we'll be using that in the next video. There's really no reason to use it right now for the final Apocalypse Gang mission, which is where we're headed. The Apocalypse Gang missions are rather short. There's only 3 of them. They're very straightforward. There are actually 10 separate quest lines in this game. The back of the box calls them 10 separate storylines, but that's a little bit too generous. They're just 10 sets of missions.
What's up, officer?
Good to see you, Spidey. We got a tip that the Apocalypse want to blow this power station. They do that, there'll be a citywide blackout.
The Apocalypse Gang is on the move. Suspect vehicle stopped. Shots fired. Alternates, please respond.
Time to go put their lights out.
The idea for the first section of this mission is to follow the cop car, but instead we're just going to ride on top of it. And you'll get to see the cop car AI, or rather the cop AI, is not incredibly smart. It tries to drive around cars most of the time, but if it can't find a way around, it just smashes into them. Like that. I like to think that the AI in this game is just a little bit too complicated. It's hard to notice usually because most of... Oh, hold on. After we arrive on the scene, there are only 2 gangsters, and the threat isn't actually the gangsters, it's the cops that are shooting at the gangsters who will also shoot us. So we want to attack the gangsters in a way that our back is not turned to the cops.
The Apocalypse Gang is on the move. Suspect vehicle stopped. Shots fired. All units, please respond.
I think I'll go teach them the rules of the road.
I'll lead the way.
So for this section of the mission, we're supposed to follow the cop car at first, and then assault the van once they catch up to it. It's not really clear what you're supposed to be doing, because after the cop car gets to the van, there's no new dialogue, so you might figure you're just supposed to keep following them, but no, you're supposed to land on top of the van. I had no idea I was supposed to do this because there was no mechanic for landing on top of the cop car. Like, you're not actually supposed to be on top of it. What I'm doing right now is not how the mission is intended to be played. Now, I wanted to web zip right on top of the, on the van, but that didn't go as planned. Still, we should be able to catch up in no time.
Spidey, there's one more car headed right for the power station. We'll never get there in time.
I can.
There actually isn't a time limit for this section. I would know, because the first time I played, I instead spent 30 minutes looking at signs instead of going to the location I was supposed to. So yeah, no time limit.
Just a wild guess, but I'm thinking I shouldn't touch that bomb while the power's on. That's
Before
why.
we can grab that bomb, we need to turn off the power or else we'll get zapped. We can use our spider sense to see where the switches are, and we don't actually need to bother with the goons. We can just ignore them entirely. And if we use spider instinct to slow down time, they'll have a much more difficult time catching up with us.
That's the last one. Now to get that bomb out of here. No time to disarm it. I have to get this thing somewhere safe and fast. I think I know just the place.
Always trying to tell us what to do. Trying to tell us what's right and what's wrong. But let me tell you, there ain't no difference. It just comes down to who has the power to make the rules. And from now on, we have the power. We make the rules. Our time has come. The apocalypse is here!
I'm so sick of you mouth-breathing knuckle-draggers. You wouldn't know power if it kicked you in the ass. And you sure as hell wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it. But hey, you think you're tough guys? In that case, show me what you got.
So the primary reason this boss would be difficult is because the boss himself has a whole ton of goons backing him up. We're gonna deal with this in a way that I usually deal with things like this. We're going to lure the bad guys really far away from the boss and take them out separately. Now, something curious about this strategy I'm employing is that only the tiny guys will follow us all the way out here. The bigger guys will turn back and go back to protect the boss. I'm not sure why their AI is programmed differently, but it's kind of interesting. Anyway, after we have the small guys out here, we can just throw them into the water, and that will get rid of them instantly. With the tiny guys out of the way, we have, I think, 2 big guys and then the boss. Now, it is possible to lure the big guys close enough that we can web yank them all the way out here, as you're seeing. But they will turn around and try to run back to the boss. It's futile, because we can web yank them as soon as they get back up. But still, they try, it's cute. And just like the smaller enemies, we can dunk them into the water. Unlike normal, though, this time I have a bit of difficulty getting the final large enemy to follow me. And that's unfortunate because we want the boss by himself. We don't want to fight him while he has backup. Thankfully, he's standing far enough away that we can get a few good hits on him before the boss runs over here. He is an enemy with a stop sign, as we already discussed, which means the ideal way to fight him is to juggle him in the air. I still haven't given up on baiting him, but he's just not taking the bait for some reason. It's a little odd. I figured punching him would get him to follow me for sure. You know, considering this is a boss battle, the music is remarkably calm. This might be the first boss battle that people fight. It's probably not meant to be the first boss battle you fight. It is a bit tougher than some of the other ones, and you don't have a lot of combos this early, so it can be harder. The further you get into the game, of course, the more combos you unlock and the more strategy. The AI is not very intelligent. The more combos you unlock and the more strategy you can use, but you don't have a lot of options available right now. Well, we couldn't bait the big guy, but we did bait the boss, which leaves the big guy by himself long enough for us to actually start hitting him. Like I said, juggling the ideal way to hurt these guys. They do take a good 3 or so juggle combos, so they're not to be underestimated, but you can stun lock them. It would be good if we could throw him into the water too, but you can't always have things the way you want them. The biggest reason we want the boss by himself is because we need Spider Instinct to attack the boss. And if there's someone else attacking us while we're attacking the boss, then our Spider Instinct is going to get chewed away when we have to dodge. Put us in a bad spot. So now that the boss is by himself, let's talk about the boss. We can't juggle him unlike the stop sign guys, even though he does block our attacks like the stop sign guys. So he doesn't have the same opening as they do. So no luck there. And if we try to lead with our heavy attack, he just blocks that. Likewise, if we try to use a heavy attack as the second attack in our combo, he blocks that too. But if we use 2 light jabs, it creates an opening and we can use a heavy attack as the third and ending attack in our combo. That would be square, square, triangle. And this is the kind of stuff that I appreciate about the boss battles. You know? Like, it's true, I had a really awful time fighting this guy the first time because I thought it was just gonna be like the other Spidey games where pretty much any attack would work. But no, he actually blocks your heavy attacks, and the only way to get him open is to do a couple of light jabs. You can, of course, just smash the square button instead of using a heavy attack to end with, but that's not nearly as effective. Oh, and using the leaping escape to get on top of the warehouse, that's my invention. This is my strategy right here. It's a lot more effective than just running away until your Spider Instinct refills. Makes you a lot less vulnerable. I'm very proud of this, actually. The reason this is better than just running away from him is that he has a whip that he can use to yank us closer, and we don't want any business with that. I can see why some people would see boss design like this as a frustrating thing, but I like solving action puzzles, you know, I like when bosses are like big puzzles that need solved with my fists. And this game gives me that. You could argue that the bosses in this game are poorly designed because the solutions to fighting them are too obtuse, and you're wrong. You're wrong about that. To find a solution to combat, you just gotta explore your options a little bit. You know, don't just smash the square button, don't just smash the triangle button. Use everything you have, find a solution that works. And again, the reason this boss is taking so long and might be more difficult if you start here is because you get more combos to work with later in the game. You saw he was trying to use his whip there, but it just went right through us because we had Spider Instinct activated. While we're on the topic of Spider Instinct, you want to press it before you get to the enemy, not after. If you press it after you get to the enemy, they're likely to already start swinging at you, so you'll have to dodge instead of hitting them. And that's no good. I don't know, this boss isn't perfect, and especially if you fight him early on, he's kind of boring, because you don't have a lot you can do. But I do think he's a good example of how to optimize strategy.
Guess that's why you freaks call yourselves the Apocalypse. Because for you, it's the end.